Um, Welcome everybody to our Little Cayman Beach Resort trip informational session. Our trip is in January of 2024, and we'll go through a few things and then be able to answer any questions along the way. So let me see now. Why this? There we go. All right, so this is a little bit of our agenda tonight. Introduction, some overview of the trip, getting to Little Cayman, a little bit about the resort, diving with Reef Divers, and then we'll talk about a few other things, and then we'll have some questions at the end on this one. That's a picture there of from the right around the dive shop, I think, looking back out towards the beach and the boats out there. So that's a little bit of the overview of what you'll be seeing out there. That's actually the sun comes up in that direction, so it comes up and heads up over the resort. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the trip, the overview. It starts Saturday, January 20th, and we're back Saturday, January 27th. So Saturday to Saturday, we are staying 7 nights at the Little Cayman Beach Resort. We will be in poolside views, pool views. We get a view of the ocean, and it's it's not a bad room in the place. I don't think, maybe, but I haven't been in it. The other thing is it's all inclusive with your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So all the meals are included, because there's no place to go out and eat in Little Cayman. So we're definitely going to be eating there. We'll talk a little bit about the dining in a minute. On Monday night, they have a manager's cocktail party. They have some hors d'oeuvres out at the bar, and they have some free rum punches out there. You might taste the rum, maybe. And then our diving is 17 total dives for the week. We're going to be doing 6 2-tank morning boat dives, Sunday through Friday. And then we do 5 1-tank afternoon dives, Sunday through Thursday. So Friday afternoon is time to get your stuff cleaned up and dried out, and things like that. Nitrox is included on the trip. All our trips include Nitrox, and I guarantee you, with all that diving, repetitive diving, you're going to want the Nitrox advantage. Also included in this trip is round trip airfare from Grand Cayman to Little Cayman. You have to get yourself to Grand Cayman, and then we'll have flights from Little Cayman or from Grand Cayman to Little Cayman. More on that in a minute. Airport transfers on Little Cayman are included. It's like you can literally walk to it's not that far, by the time you get in the van, you're at the resort. Right. So and then the double diver rate for this is $31.85. That includes what we put in there. Okay, again, that picture there, that was taken from the 2019 trip. I got there late one evening, and as looking down the dock from where the rooms are, as you walk down towards the boat, that's where the boats are at. So very nice scenic resort. Okay, getting to Grand Cayman. There are a number of flights that will get you to Miami. I think one of the ones, American Airlines runs a 6 a.m. flight out of Hartford, which gets you to Miami, and then you have a couple hour layover in Miami, and that will get you down to Grand Cayman between 12 and 12:30, somewhere in that neighborhood. There's also flights that go through Charlotte, but what we've learned in the past, the Charlotte connections are very tight. So if you're looking at Charlotte from American Airlines, be mindful of the connections. It's only like 45 minutes there from Charlotte, or it was. That could change. It used to have like an hour and a half in Charlotte, and I like Charlotte better than Miami, but the connections weren't that good. There also are flights that you can go out. If you're on Delta, you can go through Atlanta as well. And they all get in that neighborhood. The thing is, you're going to want to be in Grand Cayman probably before 1 o'clock. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, so you want to be in Grand Cayman by at least 1 p.m. for your flight to Little Cayman. Now, you can come in the day before, which some people choose to do. I think, Ned, you're doing that. Donna and I are, Donna and I are flying in on Friday and spending the day in Grand Cayman. That's a choice you can make. Some people do that. Some people will get there before 1 o'clock. Okay. Somebody trying to get in on this. Okay. Any questions on getting to Grand Cayman? And again, things change. If you're planning on it, if you haven't booked already, please look at your flights. Okay. Okay. Getting to Little Cayman. Oh boy. That's the plane you're going to be on. Little Twin Otter, 17, held approximately 17 people, maybe less. And they're Twin Otter turboprop airplanes. It takes about 35 minutes to get from Grand Cayman down here over to Little Cayman. Little Cayman is the smallest of the 3 Cayman Islands. It's about 86 miles away, 133 kilometers for those of you who like to do things in kilometers. No landing lights on the runway. That means the planes cannot land at night. Okay. Now, we have flights booked. There's a couple of different flights that we have, and these are going to be based on who signed up when and where and that sort of stuff. There's a flight that goes out at 2:30 from Little Cayman. There's a flight that goes out at 5:10 from Little Cayman. We have already reserved seats on those flights, as well as we have a limited number of seats for a 9:45 flight in the morning. Now, that means you get over to Little Cayman, but I don't know what you're going to be able to do over there because you're not going to be able to check in. But we do have some flights there. We have a bunch of we got 30 seats reserved. We don't think we're going to have that many people, so we're going to push. We'll put people on the flights. We have a limited number of flights that sometimes what they'll do, and I only have 3 that are like this right now, because of the way because these planes only take 17 people. What they'll do is they'll fly a bigger plane to Cayman Brac, and then when this plane drops people off in Little Cayman, it goes over to the Brac and then brings people back. So they kind of round robin it. We don't like that flight over to Cayman Brac because sometimes the bags stay on Cayman Brac. So we had that happen, but they showed up the next morning. In time for diving. They pushed the diving back a little bit for us to be able to get that there. But that's the thing that's the little plane. It's tight, it's little, and the bags go when the bags go. So your bag might be over there before you are, or it might be on the plane after you come in. So that's how they do it. But they're pretty good about getting the stuff there. They have a lot of experience in shuttling bags around. Okay. That's the Little Cayman Airport there. You see the runway right there, the plane coming in.
And that's all there is.
That's all there is. That's all there is. Okay. All right. This is a little bit of an overview of Little Cayman. You can see it's a small island. I've got a better map here when we talk about the diving. Right down here is where the airstrip is, and you'll see the hotel is right there. We are on the south side of the island, so we're facing southeast when the sun comes up, and then this is the Bloody Bay Wall Marine Park, where we're going to do most of our diving. But again, a tiny island. Nothing on there. There's a few shops in town and stuff like that. They're not open all the time, but there is a Marine Institute there, the Cayman Marine Institute, that some people went and toured. There's the bunch of boobies flying around and stuff like that. So there's right over here.
There's a rookery for blue-footed boobies.
Yeah.
It's right across the street.
Yeah. Okay. So that's just an overview of Little Cayman. Let's talk about the beach resort. You can see there, that's the view of the pool. At sunrise, nice little pool. We hang out there after diving all the time. This picture here, right in the top middle, is looking back at the bar area from the pool. And then if we spin around a little bit, you're looking down at the beach there, and you can see those little cabana type of environments, palapas, whatever you want to call them, with the hammocks in there, if you have time to sit by the hammock. It only happened once where we got one day, it was really windy and we didn't go out that afternoon, so we just sat in the hammocks. As you look down here on this side, that's the rooms on the pool view. They run down that way on the little boardwalk area. Looking back, this is the dining room area up here, where we'll have all our meals. They have a little bar in there as well, and you go in there in the morning, get coffee before breakfast, and they have coffee pretty much all the time in there. I think coffee, tea, that sort of stuff, for water to get. And then this is a view of the bar area underneath that bar area, where we spend a little bit of time some days. So that's a little bit of the resorts. A little more, the beach area. You're looking down the beach. There was a lot of seaweed there the last time we were there, but there's a lot of seaweed all over the Caribbean these days. You're looking back down the pier here towards the dock where the boats are. So you look, the boats are down in this area. This is looking back, you bring, back at the resort from where the docks are. Okay. Dining room, the last night they bring out all the staff and you get to meet everybody who's helped serve you for the week. Normally, come on, up in here is the resort, is the dessert station. All the food is back in here, and then you see some of the tables out in this area. And there's Peter clapping, for all the wait staff. And that was a view from right outside my room early one morning. That's the pool view. So you have, really, really nice resort. Sunrises are spectacular there. Really spectacular. It's like we just go out there. Ned's like, all right, are out there, like.
Just have to remember to jump in.
All right. Reef Divers. There's a dive shop on the premises. It has a lot of stuff in there, little t-shirts, rash guards, some basic scuba stuff, but there's a nice little dive shop. Reef Divers is what they call the valet diving service. That means that, your BC stays on the boat the whole week. Your choice, bringing regulators back and forth, clean them up, whatever, all the computers and stuff like that. But your BC can stay on the boat the whole week. And what they do is they bring the BC to you as you sit on the back of the boat. You get in your BC, stand up, get everything in place, and then do your giant stride. So they move all your stuff for you. They will allow you to gear up on your own. It sometimes makes it goes a little bit faster. We found that we just told them we want to gear up on our own and get in the water rather than wait for them to bring all the things. they want to check out, make sure you're comfortable with your gear first before they'll let you kind of stand up and do your thing. They don't like doing that. Maybe it's a liability thing, but we just like to get our gear in and go. The Nitrox station, you'll see they have 4 different stations where you can analyze your tank. What you will do is you will analyze 2 tanks. You'll mark them with blue tape that say, you know, your boat and your mix, and put them out underneath a sign that for your boat, and they will take the tanks down and put them in your station. So they know your station, and they'll put your tank there for you. But you'll analyze all your stuff. You have a sheet that they give you at the beginning of the week, and you just log all your tanks there in that on that sheet, and it stays on the clipboard. The boats are very nice. They're big 46-foot Newton dive boats. So there's plenty of space on it. You can see from the picture I took from the top of the deck there, you've got all that room on that dive boat, very spacious. You know, depending on how many people we actually have on the dive team, on the trip, we will either have 1 or 2 boats. Last 2 times we were down there, we had 2 boats. The reason for that is they only allow maximum of 20 people at a dive site in Bloody Bay Marine Park. So you can't put a boat with more than 20 people into the park on a specific dive site. So if the trip is big, we'll have a couple of boats. If we can, we'll be all on 1 boat. Okay. You see the boat pulling out from the dock right there. Okay. The dive sites. If you look on this picture, you will see where the Cayman Beach Resort is, right there. Okay. Most of our diving is going to be done up here on Bloody Bay Wall in the Marine Park. So the boat rides are probably about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, depending on how far north you go up on that that north side. We've done all of these places. You know, we've been the Meadows, the Cascades, Eagle Ray Roundup, Jackson Blight, you know, Mixing Bowl, Maryland's Cut, Donna's Delight, Randy's Gazebo, Great Wall, Lily's Lookout. We've been to all these sites, and they're, you know, the wall is just spectacular. The wall is just phenomenal.
And they're not the same. Every site is not the same as
Yeah.
the last one.
There's something different on all the sites, whether it's the way it's cut into the side of the wall or things along that line. But most of our diving is going to be done up there. If the weather or the current gets too rough up there, they just shift down to the south side, okay? And we'll dive down there. Now, down on the south side, there's a place called Soto Trader, which Peter Katz will tell you he never wants to do again. I thought it was a great little dive.
Yeah,
Soto Trader, easy, nice little easy dive. And the thing about it is you come off the back of that wreck and you go over to the reef, and there's a little pinnacle there, and it had like probably 30 lobster on it. It was like a lobster hotel. So it's a really nice little dive there. And you know,
a good place for a night dive.
And a good place for a night dive, although again, you know, some people don't like the Soto Trader, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was a great little dive. But that's the diving. It's not bad. Now, depending on, you know, what they also include on this dive is if they can, we take the boat over to Cayman Brac. So we leave a little bit earlier. We go over to Cayman Brac. It's about a 7-mile run, so it takes about 45-50 minutes to get over there. And we try to dive the Tibbets, which is a old Russian guided missile destroyer that they sunk on purpose over there. It was sold to the Cubans from Russia back in the day and never got underway. Cubans couldn't afford to run it, so the Cayman Islands bought it and sunk it and it's in about 60 feet of water, or there about 60, 65 feet of water, split in half from the hurricanes. I've dove it, 4 or 5 times. Last time we were there was a lot of current, but some people had a beautiful dive on it.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
It's just one of the signature dives on Cayman Brac. I'm I'm going to be diving it when we're there in October when we go to Cayman Brac. So it's like I'm going to get to it again because it's right around the corner there. So it's potential that we'll go over there to Cayman Brac as well for a dive. They used to, and I don't know how they'll run it. Sometimes what you would do, because they have a sister resort, the Brac Beach Resort. What sometimes they'll do is you'll just stay over there and have lunch at the Brac Reef Resort, and then do your second, do your 2 dives over there, have lunch, then come back. We'll have to see. I've never had the opportunity to have lunch over there. I've always come back. One time our boat stayed over there for lunch. It all depends on how the boat schedule runs.
And they stopped doing it because of COVID. And I don't know if it was.
Okay, so let's look at, these are all shots of Bloody Bay Wall. So as Donna said, they're very different, so sometimes you have a gentle slope on the wall, like you have there with the Gorgonia flowing out, or you have a dramatic, sheer wall like you see on the second picture there on the top. Looking back up, you'll see little pinnacles or tops of the wall. The picture on the lower left is a place called Barrel Sponge Boulevard, where it's just down the side of the wall where all these massive barrel sponges as you go down. I think that one there, as we see some divers going through one of the cuts, that might be Maryland's cut, where the divers are going through some of the cracks in the wall. So you dive down through there, and then you see the sponges, the tube sponges coming out of that other one on the bottom right there. But very different diving on the wall. It's not the same dive every time you go out there. There's tons of different dive sites, and they're different, and they all have something different. But that's diving Bloody Bay Wall. Fish life, you're going to find a lot of grouper down there. So that's the grouper up on the left, top left. Down there, you'll see some of the flame wrasse and spotted drums. In some of the cracks and crevices, you'll see a lot of jacks. That's a blackjack up there in the top right. They're all over the place. The balloon fish or puffer fish, you'll find them. You'll find a lot of the French angelfish, and then you'll see on the bottom right there, the schoolmasters, or a lot of grunts or snapper you'll find all over the place. So a really great place if you're into fish identification or wanting to do some of that. It's a great place to do that. A couple of years ago when we were there in 2019, I did a couple of fish surveys down there where you go through and you just write down, I've got the slates that you go and you check off all the things that you see, and then you put it in a database for reef, and you can do that. But a great place for doing fish identification. Yeah. So a lot of fish life, a lot of different stuff. If you don't have a fish ID book, you can get the reef guides. They have online, or you have the books or whatever, and they sometimes have books on the boat as well. Okay. Other underwater life. You'll see lobster, spiny lobster. That one there was on the side of the wall, inside a sponge. We dropped down and there was this guy sitting inside the sponge. Pretty cool. Turtles. You'll see several turtles along the way, the green sea turtles, or you'll see some hawksbills. The southern stingray there. You'll find those guys running around. I have not seen a spotted eagle ray down there yet, but you'll see the the rays, the big barrel sponges, those sponges are huge. They're, you know, a lot of times people just swim by this stuff
Don't even
and
know what
they
they
don't
are.
even, you know, and it's just, they're just, those things are like incredibly old too. They're like, you know, long 50, 60, 70 years old, those sponges. And then you see in the bottom middle, we went to a dive site. I forget what the dive site was. I can't remember now. I should have looked at my notes, but they did a outplanting of the staghorn coral, which you don't see anymore a lot of, and they just had massive fields of the staghorn coral in this one spot where they were doing some of the outplanting. So it's thriving. I don't know now with the hot weather how good it's going, but you know, you'll see the coral, a lot of the coral. Stop and look at the coral's amazing. There's just so many different varieties of it. There was one place where we had some beautiful pillar coral, you know, out there, you know, and you know, we had a phenomenal boat captain on our trip. She just got us to some of these places, and she knew exactly where to go and what we were going to see. And it was a lot of fun. They'll write down the dive site. They'll draw it out for you on the whiteboard and show you everything that you're going to see on the dive. And they're pretty accurate.
I would also tell you that the Central Caribbean Marine Institute, there were several researchers there from all over the world, and they were building the coral growth structures.
Okay.
And they were showing where around the Cayman Islands that they were starting the new growth.
Yep.
So it was pretty interesting.
Yep. Then you see there's just another lobster. You'll find them all over the place down there as well. Interesting about that, the Central Caribbean Marine Institute, they're in partnership with Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, and the dive safety officer, Kim Malkowski, who's down there all the time. She's part of the Sea Rovers. She's down there all the time, and they stay at the Little Cayman Beach Resort. So,
nowhere else to stay.
One
other place.
Yeah, there's Pirates Point. Well, if it's still open, Southern Cross is still open. She's just down the beach. But that's the underwater life, fish, structure. You know, probably the best diving in the Caribbean is in Little Cayman. Okay. And I've been to all three of the Caymans, and this is by far the best, you know, some of the best diving you're going to see. You are like being on a liveaboard, except you're not on a boat. You get off the boat, have your lunch, get back on the boat, get off the boat, go to the bar, go to the pool, go to the jacuzzi, go to dinner, and then whatever you want to do after dinner. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. Breakfast is usually at 6:30. They ring the bell. I think they ring the bell, right? Yeah, they ring the bell. Lunch somewhere around 12:30. Lunch is depending on your boat schedule, but usually around 12:30. And then we're back on the boat right around 1:30, 1:45, for our afternoon dive. And then dinner's at 6:30. So you got a little time to sit by the pool, sit in the pool, you know, just chill out a little bit, and then or get cleaned up, get ready for dinner. Dinner's at 6:30. There is a little shack. I don't know if it's shack or garage or whatever you want to call it, right next to the dive shop, where you can hang up your gear. So you can hang up your wetsuit, you can hang up your fins, you can hang up your stuff in there that you take off the boat with you, you know, to dry out. You're going to have to bring, like I said, we bring our boots, our fins, our, you know, mask, our computers, everything. We take it off the boat. I only leave my BC on there. Some people leave their regulators on there. I like to take mine off and at least rinse it off, and then bring it back down. Reef Divers will provide you with a boat bag, which is nice. So they do have mesh bags that you can
Most
use.
resorts don't do
Most
that,
resorts
so-
don't do that, so it saves you a little bit of room in your luggage. You know, if you are so inclined. Like I said, the dive shop has an assortment of rash guards, t-shirts, you know, souvenirs, a little bit of, not a lot of stuff to fix things.
Right.
So, couple of other things. They usually do a trivia night. Like I said, Monday night they have the manager's cocktail party, and then there's a trivia night one of the nights, Tuesday or Wednesday, and then they also do a karaoke night. And believe me, there was a lot of people doing karaoke, and a lot of Jimmy Buffett songs going on down there for karaoke. There is also an area on the other side of the building, or the far side of the building near the tennis courts. It's a little concrete area with lines that you can bring your stuff over there, hang up to dry out in the sun, get it knocked down. The 2 times we were there, it rained on Friday afternoon, so we couldn't put our stuff out there to dry. So we just had to bring it back to the room and get it as dry as you could. Okay. They don't like you hanging stuff all over, although people do. People still hang stuff over.
Yeah,
the
they ask you
balconies.
not to hang it over.
Yeah.
The railing, but everybody does.
But everybody does anyway, so. Okay. Okay, so wrap up, we've, you know, those who've signed up already, $500 non-refundable deposit reserves the spot. The thing about it, we're going to have to release some rooms here before too long. That's, you know, just the way it goes. We have to either release them or pay for them. And if our customers aren't paying for them, I can't afford to pay for them. So we release them back. We have dive shops that are calling, you know, our travel agent looking for rooms. And we've decided we aren't going to release them just yet, but we're going to have to do that soon. Payment in full is due by November 1st, 2023. Now, with that said, highly recommend that you have some sort of travel insurance, whether it be through Dive Ashore, Divers Alert Network does it, you know, and there's different ways you can do it, different levels, different things that it'll cover, different things that it won't. I just renewed our policy for Donna and I for Dan travel insurance because we do multiple trips a year. I just get the yearly coverage. It's not cheap, but you know, it could be in the neighborhood of well, it's also based on your age. So I'm old, so it costs me more because they tie medical insurance in with it. So a couple things. You're going to want to have your Dan medical or your Dan dive accident insurance, okay? Which they're going to probably ask to see, you know, I don't think they ask for Dan insurance down there, but some places
Ask
will.
you if you have it.
Yeah. And, you know, they just, all these places now want you to have some sort of dive accident insurance, particularly things like this, because you know, if something does happen, it's going to be a medevac out, and, you know, Dan will pay for that if you have that insurance. So really highly probable. The other thing is the trip insurance is what happens if your flight gets canceled, if, you know, and they cover things like, I lost my job like a month before the trip. That's a covered event from Dan travel insurance. Or if there's a death in the family or a sickness, or somebody you're traveling with can't travel.
Yeah,
Your dive buddy. So
you want
so
to make,
those are
if you
things.
want it to have COVID, make sure that that's included. So
Yeah.
it's not less important now
So-
than it was a year ago, but make sure that some of them will cover your buddy.
So,
But
well, you can.
would I go with apparently
Somebody's got to run the trip, right? So that's everything. It's an absolutely awesome trip. You know, we've run it the last couple of years. In the last 2 times we went was in October. It was full both times. January may be a little bit harder for some people coming right out of the holidays, but we wanted to get in there in January because we want to do all 3 Cayman Islands next year. We've got Little Cayman in January, Grand Cayman in May, and then Cayman Brac in October. So if for people who can't make Little Cayman, we've got 2 other options. For those of you who want to say, I got to all 3 Cayman Islands in 2024, we got that covered for you as well. So that's kind of what we wanted to cover tonight on this trip. We're going to open it up now for questions, and then if you want to review any of this, we're going to have this published on YouTube as well. So we'll put it up on YouTube as a informational session. Questions? Anybody?
So does everyone just have one checked luggage, or have multiple checked luggage?
Well, we usually carry, you have a, if you're bringing dive gear, you'll have a bag for your dive gear, and then you'll have a bag for your clothes. So a couple of bags, everybody takes a couple of pieces of luggage. If you're renting gear from them, we have to check. You may be able to get everything in one bag. So, but there is a limit on the carry-on on the small plane. You're allowed one bag on, one carry-on onto the little plane. Everything else goes in the, inside there. So, but most people have 2 bags, their dive gear and then their clothes.
And it's not a fancy place, you don't need to bring, evening clothes.
Yeah, you're not, it's not a dress-up place.
It's fine, you don't have to dress up.
You do have to wear a shirt and shoes and
flip-flops and t-shirts, trunks.
other questions.
I would say, bring more than 1 or 2 bathing suits, because you don't want to go into the dining room with a soaking wet bathing suit. So we generally go back to our room, change
Yep.
into a dry bathing suit, hang up the old one, and then later in the day, we might either go into a 3rd bathing suit or back to
3 or
the
4,
first one. So it's nice to have a
4 or
couple.
5 bathing suits, or 3 or 4, so you can just rotate them around. I mean, that's what we
Depends
did.
on how dry you want it to get into it next time.
Mine dry fast. So.
I'm dry slow.
Other questions? We're excited to be going back.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Most fun I've had diving on Little Cayman. A lot of it's the people that we go with.
Great dive shop, great
dive shop.
staff. Peter was asking me today, is Sharon still running it? I'm like, I don't know.
The captain and the dive master that we had, is the best I've ever been.
Oh, I did not cover one final thing. Tips, gratuities for the dive staff. They say $20 a tank.
No, I thought it was $10.
I don't
$20
know.
a day. It's 2 tanks.
3 tanks, so
That would be
$30 a day. And then, depending on how you can either give it all in one lump and then they divide it up, or you can pick who you want to give tips to. You can also provide tips to the wait staff. The hotel gratuities are included, for the housekeeping, but we always usually throw in a little bit more, and you can do that on either your credit card or cash, however you want to do it. But gratuities, they factor in a minimal amount of gratuities into the price of the trip, but you're gonna have to no gratuities for the dive staff. And you'll see there's a lot of people humping tanks around and moving things. So gratuities you're gonna have to factor in. And we'll go over more of that when we get closer to the trip. We have a trip meeting and then we dial in some of the specifics. This is kind of give us an overview for people, who are new and are looking at it, and also we wanted to get it out there so that we can push it out to people.
What's their currency like?
They use the dollar. Yeah. They use the dollar. no need for special adapters for your equipment, anything. It's all standard US electric, so.
Is it friendly for someone who's a novice like me? The friendly side.
Oh, no, we don't like people, no. No, it's-
They're
I mean,
especially friendly to
Here's
novices.
here's the thing about it, for new divers, going with a group like this is the absolute best way
Yeah.
because you're part of a group. People will help, they're gonna be helpful anyway, but you're gonna have a whole group of people who are there, bonding together for the week, and it's just a phenomenal, you're gonna,
It's the best.
yeah, it's the best way to travel when you're learning to dive.
But Nikki's done.
So
one
I went to
trip
Bon
with us.
Air this year with them, and I had literally just finished my training prior to that, and really had only ever dived either in the pool or at Big Little Hollow.
So,
And went to Bon Air, and unfortunately I got one dive in because I got sick when I got there, but that's a whole other story. But I had a really excellent time.
I'm gonna stop the recording now, and then we can still finish up with questions, and then I'm gonna get this up there. So I'm gonna stop the recording.